Doesn't it feel like in recent years, R&B has been dominated by women? Yeah, I mean, if you're like me, you've seen no shortage of hits from stars like SZA, Kehlani, Tim's, Tyler. Shoot, I'd even throw in Victoria Monet. Let's keep it going. Money Long. I mean, I can keep going, guys, if you'd like. But you see how easy it is to rattle off a list of women who are moving the needle? Well, that is until now, because Leon Thomas is actively carving out a lane for the guys and himself that has become virtually, I'd say, impossible to ignore. That's why in this video, I'm gonna break down his growing catalog and discuss why it's become, man, I'd say virtually impossible to not acknowledge this guy as an up-and-coming R&B legend. Yeah, that's right, I said it, legend. By the way, guys, my name is Uche, and I make videos like this every single week, or at least I'm planning to. So if you like videos like this and you want to see me grow, hit that like button. If you want to see me get the 1K subscribers, hit that subscribe button for your boy. Now let's get into this. Okay. Let's talk about Leon Thomas III, better known as just Leon Thomas, out of Brooklyn, New York, aka Andre from Victorious. Look, that's after my era of Nickelodeon, but y'all are gonna peep who that is, right? If that's from your era. But anyway, yo, I got a question for y'all before we get into this discussion. Who is the last new R&B male artist that you genuinely were excited about? And I'm gonna pause right there for you to really answer that question. But then the second part of that is, now, which of those artists do you actually believe has superstar talent and the ability to really go to that next level as an artist, similar to what the women have done? Now I'll pause there again, and I guarantee your answer won't be the same, right? Like, it's hard to really have a person to satisfy both of those questions, but here on this video, I'm here to tell you that Leon Thomas, to me, has both of those elements. To me, Leon Thomas is a breath of fresh air. He's somebody who, to me, is damn near a hybrid of somebody like a Ty Dolla $ign, who has that grit and edgy look, mixed with a BJ the Chicago Kid, who has that sort of pure, holy, gospel-driven vocals, mixed with, dare I say, D'Angelo, right? Like, I genuinely feel like Leon Thomas has the vocal clarity and the songwriting of D'Angelo, and I mean that in the utmost respect. By the way, rest in peace to D'Angelo, who passed away recently. And so we're talking about a guy who can play drums, he can play the guitar, right? He can play damn near every instrument in the book, similar to a artist like Prince, right? Or even his predecessor, Ty Dolla $ign, right? And so to me, his future is extremely bright, right? But I think one of the things that sets Leon Thomas apart the most is his music soundscapes. They are extremely daring, they are unorthodox, and at this point, they're so unique in the way in which he creates these sounds that they almost sound cinematic to me. They sound almost ready to be plopped right into the middle of a motion picture. And I mean that in the most highest respect fashion, because a lot of people trash soundtrack music and they say, oh, it's not that big a deal. Whereas for me, I feel like if you're able to make a song that sounds soundtrack ready, yo, you are a big time artist. And I really feel like Leon Thomas is that type of artist. But before we get into anything recent in terms of his discography, his catalog, his recent hits, I gotta take you back. We gotta go back to the foundation and how he really got his start. Let's talk about his acting origins, because he was actually on Broadway, where he debuted his career at the age of 10 as young Simba on the 2003 Lion King play, and he also had a key role in the performance in the original Broadway cast of Caroline and Change, and also The Color Purple. In addition to that, he had a couple of films that he got some experience in as well. Notable acting roles include the 2007 film called August Rush, and also the 2017 film called Detroit. Now, we gotta move forward because a lot of people are finding this out recently, and including myself, because again, like I mentioned before, his era of Nickelodeon is not my era of Nickelodeon. But I do gotta give him props, because there's been a lot of talent to come out of Nickelodeon, and he is one of the many. And because my era of Nickelodeon includes the classics, yeah, I'm talking about Rugrats. Let's talk about all that. How about Hey Arnold? Remember that, guys? Or maybe Kenan and Kel, or Cat Dog, or Rocco's Modern Life. I mean, come on, guys, the list goes on. Yo, if you was part of that era, hit the like button for me. Come on. Matter of fact, put your favorite Nickelodeon cartoon in the comments right now. But none of that happened in Leon Thomas's era. So we gotta talk about what he was a part of, because he starred as a musician prodigy named Andre Harris in the hit series called Victoria. Victorious, where it really established his identity as a versatile musician and singer in a global sort of audience within that show, right? And also within that Nickelodeon era of his, he actually signed a developmental deal with Nickelodeon, which sort of allowed him to start working as a producer, at a very young age, where he was able to get support from the legendary producer named Babyface, of all people. We talking about R&B royalty. So again, you can see he has the pedigree, he's been acting, he's been singing, he's been working with legends from day one. But next, we got to take a look at his producer resume, because again, before he took a step into the limelight as a soloist, we got to talk about his May 2022 record deal that he signed as the first artist to Ty Dolla $ign's Easy Money record label, which was a joint venture with Motown Records.
You signed to Ty Dolla $ign's, right?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Easy Money, and it's in conjunction with Motown Records. Between Legacy and a new imprint, I think it's been really cool to kind of break ground in R&B right now. It's been a real special thing.
And so key credits of his include the work that he did with SZA. He is actually a co-writer and producer on SZA's hit song called Snooze, which won a Grammy for Best Progressive R&B Album on SOS. So shout out to Leon Thomas for really putting in that work behind the scenes.
Yeah, Snooze is a big one. Being a part of production on that was a blessing. And I co-produced that with Babyface, my boy Chris Riddick-Tynes.
Yeah.
I've been cool with SZA for some years, but it was really nice to finally get creative, and our first real creation turned into a Grammy for everybody involved, which was really cool.
And I think if you guys haven't tapped in, you could see Leon Thomas doing a ton of performances. He sat down with the Terrell Show, and he's done plenty of renditions of Snooze to really show, and this guy really got talent flowing through his veins, which is absolutely insane to see. Also, he's worked with Drake. He has production credits on Certified Lover Boy, on the tracks Pipe Down, Love All, and In the Bible.
Drake really gave me an opportunity to really show my skills, on a production wave.
Okay, I love that. In addition to that, he's worked with Ariana Grande, and he was a part of a duo production writing team called The Rascals, who co-wrote and produced several songs on Ariana Grande's debut album called Yours Truly. And in particular, he worked on songs like Honeymoon Avenue, Tattooed Heart, and Lovin' It. And by the way, just for shits and giggles, he's worked on her most recent album called Position. So Leon Thomas has really put in work behind the scenes as a writer, producer, and he's really been doing his thing. So shout out to him. In addition to that, he really set the tempo and foundation for his solo work, like he did on his Genesis EP, which released August 24, 2018, which didn't see much of any movement on the charts, because again, he was sort of making a name for himself, really putting in work, establishing a name for himself as a solo artist. But notable songs on that project were songs like Favorite featuring Buddy, Sunken Place. But enough of his earlier work. Let's get into some of the more recent music that we all have become accustomed to and care so much about. We gotta start with his debut album called Electric Dusk, which released August 18, 2023, which I'd argue is a critically acclaimed album for what it was able to do in R&B. Early part of his discography, which again, it didn't chart heavily, but what he was able to do from a cinematic, psychedelic soundscape, to me, should have taken everybody by storm if you're somebody who likes R&B, in my personal opinion, and really showed the foundation that he was able to stand on, because with tracks like Breaking Point, that was a really strong single, and it showed his ability to slow things down and create a atmospheric environment where he's really giving you a ballad, but giving you that pain in terms of what it's like to be at a breaking point in your life. Next, he had songs like Treasure in the Hills, which is also a really, really dope song on that project. I'd argue that might be better than Breaking Point. Who knows? I feel like at this point, when it comes to Leon Thomas, everybody might have their own favorite song, and I really don't think there's a wrong answer when it comes to this guy's discography. Also, this project has songs like Crash and Burn, which again showed that R&B readiness and his ability to craft these soundscapes and songs that are extremely well produced and well written from a songwriting standpoint. Leon Thomas is really in his bag on this project, and what what a amazing debut project. But I think the elephant in the room is clearly what he did on his sophomore project. And we're talking about none other than MUTT, which released September 27, 2024. And this was the album that really, I say, made a name for him in the industry among fans and also people who are covering music. Because in 2024, this was named Billboard's #1 R&B album. The album also peaked at number 35 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 10 on the top R&B album chart. So bro was out here making a wave for himself. He did his thing from a charting performance. And so when we start getting into the records, man, I mean, of course, we gotta highlight the title track, of course, MUTT. What's insane to me about this song is that he has about 3 versions of this same exact song. I mean, of course, 2 of the versions are on the original project. One is the one with just him. Of course, he has the version with Freddie Gibbs. And then, of course, the one that I think most people arguably started giving him the critical acclaim from an industry standpoint. You know how this shit go, man. That people always need a cosign. And what better cosign is there than a Chris Brown remix? Because when Chris Brown jumped on that remix, it really shot this song up significantly, right? We're literally talking about once he jumped on, the whole project started to perform immensely. So again, when the album dropped, first week numbers weren't crazy, but when Chris Brown jumped on the remix, it saw its biggest week sales and it sold about 90K units the week Chris Brown jumped on the MUTT remix. So shout out to Chris Brown for really propelling Leon Thomas in a major way. And up until now, this song is continuously rising on the Billboard 100 charts. As of when I'm recording this video, it has peaked at number 10 on the charts. But of course, this album is not just comprised of MUTT, right? We're talking about songs like Yes It Is and also Vibes Don't Lie. And I got some sleepers on this project. For example, the intro, like How Fast, and of course, Answer Your Phone. But I'd argue the #1 sleeper on this project, and y'all who rock with Leon are gonna feel me on this, it's probably I Used To featuring Baby Rose. And I just recently started appreciating this song. But again, I'm talking about sleepers, guys. I'm not talking about the best songs. That might be my biggest sleeper on the project. But next, we gotta talk about his most recent project, an EP he just recently dropped, specifically October 23rd, 2025. It's called PHOLKS, and it has notable songs like Just How You Are, which is more of like an 80s dance vibe. It's a funky, rock, drum heavy type record. Also, it has songs like My Muse, which to me, it has the best writing of all the tracks on this project. It has songs like Feel Alive, which has like a guitar heavy bass line that's real beautiful. And so again, if you're somebody who's heavy on guitars like me, I think you're really gonna like that track a lot. And I think the most left field song on this project has to be Baccarat. It's super unorthodox and it shows Leon Thomas getting into his bag in ways that are unmanageable for most. I think what I love the most about Leon Thomas's music, not only on this EP and also in general, is you're not able to put him in a box, right? He's somebody who's able to shift his artistry and manners that can't quite be defined in one word. And I love that about Leon Thomas. All right, let's talk about the legacy and the future of male R&B as it relates to Leon Thomas. So I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. Leon Thomas is a breath of fresh air. But I don't wanna just say that in the most unexplainable way, because I feel like that phrase gets used often, and I don't want it to, right? I genuinely believe that phrase is applicable to Leon Thomas, because you might ask yourself, especially if you're somebody who doesn't agree with that statement, well, what makes him different? And for me, I would say his sound is musically complex. He kind of draws from earlier decades and inspirations of jazz and classic neo soul. Of course, you got contemporary R&B. I'd even throw in, you hear psychedelic music and rock infused into his artistry, which again makes him extremely diverse, like I mentioned before, but you can't really place him in a box. And so I think with somebody like Leon Thomas, he's able to blend, right? He can do what everybody else does, and he can also make futuristic sounding R&B, which to me sets him totally apart from his peers. Also, let's talk about the live element of Leon Thomas. Virtually all of his music sounds extremely ready to be performed at your local venue. I mean, for me, I'm somebody who wants to see this guy in concert because, again, all of his songs, from the Breaking Points to MUTT to Vibes Don't Lie, and the list goes on. I mean, literally, there's more that sound even more futuristic. I throw in Just How You Are off the new EP. They all sound like a band is necessary, which I feel, again, is extremely necessary, not only in music, but for R&B as a whole. Bring that back in R&B. R&B. I feel like Leon Thomas is doing that in a major way. But also, I want to talk about why I believe he's primed to go on a legendary run, or even just a run that is superstar driven. Number one, he's extremely complex with his mastery, right? He's one of them hybrids. You could argue he's hyphenated in everything that he does. Kind of reminds me of Her, you know, the singer Her, where she plays every instrument. She can write every type of song. She can deliver every type of melody. She is a unicorn in terms of music. And I feel like Leon Thomas possesses a lot of those unicorn type traits. And so also the fact that he's already been an accomplished producer and songwriter behind the scenes. I mentioned before, he works with SZA, at least worked with her in the past. And he has that training of being able to play the back, but also now seeing that it's his time to shine, i.e. a Neo or anybody else who was an artist, specifically singer, who played their position at one point, was extremely successful behind the scenes, and now he's in front of the scenes and he's doing his thing. I feel like that sets him apart as well. But also, the other aspect to me why I feel like Leon Thomas has next, or rather he has now, is because male R&B is wide open. You can't talk about male R&B without discussing names like Chris Brown, right? Who to me has been grandfathered into R&B in a major way. Of course, you got artists like Bruno Mars. I'd even throw in Lucky Day, Giveon, Daniel Caesar, and some of the other guys who've made a name for themselves. But there hasn't really been a influx of guys that I feel have superstar talent and can really cut through with their music. To me, Leon Thomas has everything that those artists generally have, but he's able to do it in a way that sounds old school, but also fresh at the exact same time. So shout out to all the R&B artists that I really love, like Blast or Friday, Bryson Tiller, the PNDs, Party Next Doors. All of those guys are dope, but I genuinely feel like Leon Thomas, he's kind of in a class of his own artistry-wise because he's able to blend in a major way, and he's already had a really dope career behind the scenes as a writer. So shout out to him, because man, the future is bright for him. It really is. And ultimately, man, I genuinely trust the vision in the music. Man, I'm one of those type of people that feel like this industry is clouded with artists who have a lot of gimmicks and shenanigans, whether we're talking controversy, talking about who they're dating, this, that, and the third. All the stuff that shouldn't really matter at the end of the day. But for me, when Leon Thomas's name comes up, it's not a coincidence, I'd say, that most people are only talking about how amazing of an artist he is. And again, that is on display every time you see him do a performance like he did at BET Awards or like he did at the NPR Music Tiny Desk concerts. I feel like every time you see Leon Thomas show up, he is displaying his artistry in a major way. And I genuinely feel like that is going to be the norm moving forward for Leon Thomas and for R&B. But what do you guys think? Do you think Leon Thomas is the best thing that's happened to R&B in a very long time? Or do you think he's nothing special and he's just like all the other R&B artists that have come and go throughout the years? Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Once again, my name is Uche. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.